Hello, this is Athena Jezik. Today we're going to do some back work. So I'm going to start by putting oil on the back of Corrina and get that going. Just little squirts, and you don't want to ever use too much oil. You want to have a good viscosity. If you do, like right in there, I got a little bit too much, so I'm going to be spreading it out, spreading it over. If you have too much oil, then it's just kind of too much oil. The viscosity is still there, but it's better to have just a little amount of oil. It's not as messy to really work with that, and this can spread all the way down to the back. So that's all we need, I guess. That looks good, feels good. So I'm going to start up here at her head. That way I can get the neck. This is the old routine that I used to do, so we're going to go over some of that. Just spreading out and feeling from the neck, the attachments, going down across the shoulders, across the shoulder blades, on top of the shoulder blades. And you can feel a little bit of crepitus. I want you to, feel the muscles, what you're doing. You don't want to go in with a deep pressure, deep pressure. That's really not very relaxing. And if you don't really know what you're doing with deep pressure, sometimes you can really cause a lot of discomfort for the person on the table, because the muscles, listening to the muscles is very much the character of what a massage therapist is supposed to be doing. It's not about finding a knot and then just aggressively going into there without letting the body invite you in. You actually get deeper if you take your time at it, and this has already loosened up a lot of the knotting that I felt along the shoulder blade. There's a little bit still here, so we'll just kind of hold that there, let it work itself out. It's more of a subtle technique, which the subtle techniques you can learn if you join my course. It's a training of the hands in a very different way than what we're used to. And then we're going to go all the way down the spine. And there's a little spreading that goes with the thumbs. You don't just go straight down, you also spread the muscle. And again, you use the subtle technique, but you're into the body more, but you still can use the subtle technique. And you go again a second time. It's good to do about 3 times. Make sure that you're spreading that muscle along the vertebrae, as well as going down the body. And then you come up again. And then a 3rd time. And each time you do this, you're going to feel a little bit of change in the muscle, from being a little bit more tense to a little bit more relaxed. And down we go, spreading it out, and then bringing it back up. Then it's nice to just give them all kind of a big feeling of that they can loosen up, they can soften up, just with your whole hand. And again, it's not a big push. I'm using my thumbs again, going down the spine and taking a little spread with that. And by spreading, I mean I'm pulling the muscle to the side, to the outside. And then the hand, the palms of the hand, is just doing more of an effleurage down on the side of the body, across the rib cage and down into the back. Around the shoulder blades. Through here, you can get into the shoulder blades a little bit deeper here. And then around the tip of the shoulder blade. It's kind of like going around the tip of South Africa. And then you can do a little rotative movement up here. This is where the tension is mostly held, is right through this part of the scapula. Okay, and then going over to the side of the body, we're going to take the fingers and go along the trapezius muscle, and you're also going to get into the levator scapula muscle. And you just, when you hit the scapula, the bone, you just take that and follow that up. So you're taking it upward to the actual top of the scapula again. That is where a lot of tension is carried, so it's kind of nice, but you're doing much of the trapezius all the way down to the tip of the trapezius, just taking that up along the scapula, getting the scapularis muscles, and you can concentrate a little more along the scapula and see what's happening there. Put your hand underneath their shoulder, just lift it up a little, wing it a little. Some people's wings are very big, some people's wings are very tight, depends on the muscle tension. And here you can feel some tension. So you just want to work that tension out as you go up along here. Apply the subtle technique, apply the energy direction, and then follow that tissue, follow that muscle, and around you go. And then you can go down underneath it here. Again, we're going to take it under, see if we can get under a little deeper. There's a subtle technique that's going on right now, as well as just the muscle work. There's also some energetic direction. So the hands, when they're trained, can do a number of things all at once. Now this is very soft through here. Okay, now I like to sweep down the back. Just sweep down it, full palm. Just letting, it's kind of a muscle stretch, I guess you could say. It's a little more of a muscle stretch. And then start down here at the hips and just go along the hip here. It's kind of little thumbs are moving back and forth, and you're rotating the thumbs. Okay, back to the center. We're going to ride that muscle up the spine. It's the erector spinae muscle. And there, what's happening here is I'm applying a little bit of a spread, as well as being in more of the body of the muscle, so that there's two actions going on. And all the way up. You want to go all the way to the top of the head, base of the skull, come back down. Just ride yourself back down. This just is mainly because you want to stay contact here. And then you ride it up again. One of the thumbs can stay closer to the spine, the other one will move out a little bit, and you're spreading at the same time that you're directing some energy if there's a tight spot, and you're moving that into the belly of the muscle, so you're directing your focus down into that muscle. And up you go, and again you go all the way to the base of the skull. And back down, riding it back down. And then one hand is going to be at the edge of the erector spinae, the other hand again, I'm going to leave close to the spine, and you do that little spreading with the thumb at the spine. It's a subtle technique, and you stay right on the edge of the muscle and focus on the muscle with the other hand. In this case, it's the left hand. So you're spreading with the right hand and gliding with the muscle on the left hand. And up to the top again. Okay, down we go. Now we're gonna kind of knead the muscles of the back, just kneading it. Now you come into the spine and get into that, and again make the spreading action with the fingers. I like to use a lot of work close to the spine because there's a lot of movement with the spine, and you want to keep the movement, you want to keep the muscles soft to move. The spine can stiffen up very easily. And the joints, it keeps the joints a little more mobile when there's a little more massage work, because a lot of stuff is connected into the vertebrae. And bring it back down, kind of sweeping in circular sweeps. And then take the hands, fingers along the spine, hands pulled out, and again you're doing the little separation here of the muscle from the spine. You're staying on the side of the spine. Your palm is down, your palm is working on the muscle, on the muscles of the back, the rest of the muscles of the back, and you just bring that up. And there's one side of the back. Okay, so here we are on side 2. Start at the base of the skull and pull everything out to the shoulder, the very tip of the shoulder where the clavicular acromion is. Keep spreading that out. You feel a little crunchy sometimes. You'll feel some tension. Again, this is where the tension is oftentimes. And keep on moving. And now here's where you're going to get into running into the scapula. So you're going to be following that scapula up and around, which is really good because, you know, this is where the tension is, and you get a little bit more work there. Okay. I'm following the trapezius, that's why it's going in kind of a V shape. Down to the point. And then you want to set your hand underneath. Lift that up to wing it a little bit. And then just follow that scapula up and around. Again, the levator scapula muscle is what always pulls the shoulder up, and it's attaching in this area to about here. So going over that several times is very advantageous, because that muscle can really get a strong muscle memory pattern to stay in, leaving your shoulders as earrings instead of letting them drop and float on top of the rib cage. Okay, and then you can get down underneath. And more to the side. Okay, and then you're going to start moving. You can also go across the scapula a few times. Just the muscles are usually pretty flat on this area, so they don't really have, as a general rule, much tension in them. Then just sweep down the side. Now this is just like real general work for relaxation. This is just going to take care of basic muscle tension. That's about all it's really going to address. It's good work, it's important. But if there's something more going on with the back, that is going to take an entirely different approach. So there we just did our thumbs, and now we're coming back in. Okay, now we're going to do the erector spinae. Okay, thumbs together for the first one. Spread with the left hand, push that out. Let the right hand go along that edge of the erector spinae. It's somewhat spreading too. And if you like, and you have the technique for it, you can direct that energy that way. And the more energy that you can direct out into the body, the less the pressure has to be, because the energy will be doing the work. That is something that you do need to be trained in. And then the next one, the thumb is going to stay close. One thumb is going to stay close to the spine. The other one is more in the middle or the belly of the erector spinae. And so you're going to ride that up. And again, don't apply too much pressure. Just allow enough to where the muscle is inviting you in. Otherwise, you're going to get a tension response. And if you just keep pushing and pushing, and eventually you'll get a muscle failure response. And that doesn't mean that you've relaxed the muscle. It only means that the chemistry of the muscle can no longer work because it's spent its time being tense, so it just gives out like muscle failure. And this one is along the edge of the erector spinae. And then when the muscle is back rejuvenated, it will still be tight. So it's very counterproductive. Okay, we're going to go down now just a little bit this way. Still pulling against giving that spread from the vertebrae. Okay, now we're going to take a bigger hunk of the muscle and do a little bit more like kneading in two directions. Up into the shoulder, and then knead it back down. And then bring that hand back up. And there we go. Again, I'm along the vertebrae with the fingers, and my other hand is along the surface of the rest of the back. Okay, now we're going to do a vertebral vibration. Start at the base, pull your fingers down, and then begin to vibrate them. Just like vibrating them back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. Because we've done so much work along that vertebrae, the vertebrae is going to be able to make little wiggles as you go down like that. And then with both sides, you're going to grab the outer side of the erector spinae and knead it back in on both sides of the back. Not just working one side, now you're crossing that midline. And then you come up, get again into that, and do another vertebral vibration. You're not on the vertebrae, you're on either side of the vertebrae. And you're not putting a lot of pressure. It's a good place to direct the energy. Here as you go down, but you don't have to if you don't know how, just get that vibration going. Sometimes it just takes a little practice just to vibrate it. And then the thumbs are going to ride up. And this is an important one because it changes the positioning of the spine, the way that the spine is put together. This will lift up each little vertebrae as you go up instead of pushing them together. So there's a little bit different action there because each little spinous thing kind of folds on top of the other one. And we're going to go all the way up to the base of the neck. And then we're going to do just fingers are going to go between the vertebrae. They'll just go between there, and you're not going exactly on the bone, you're trying to go in between. Sometimes it's hard to find, and that's where it's a good idea to have some kind of an image in your head of how the vertebrae looks, and then get the feeling into your hands. And sometimes you can detect some things out in this if you're trained enough to be able to pick up where there's abnormalities or injury. Okay, and then we're going to do one last along the vertebrae, one last push up. And that opens up really nice. Along the vertebrae is very soft now. It's very supple. The joint should feel fluid when they move. Spread that out there. And then we're just going to come down and do a little bit of a spreading outward, where you're just spreading the muscle open. It's just like stretching them a little bit. And then when you get to the rib cage, try to find the ribs and take your fingers in between each rib so that you get a little bit of touching the intercostal muscles. They're not worked very often. It just kind of gives them a little. And then you can go in this direction. This is a little bit different coming over here, but it's the same thing, but your fingers will be behind your hands, but it's still a spreading situation. If you want, you can go to the other side of the table. And then there's the rib cage. The rib cage, you see, changes angles a little bit too. That there's the ribs. And then, down we go, over the shoulder. And then you go back and just pull everything up from the side and just pull it all back in. It's kind of like you stretched out, now you're stretching it back in. And same thing down here, you can pull it up, working it that way. Also paying attention to get between the ribs if you can. Okay, and then just take your hand at the end, and what's really nice is to just ride it up very slowly. And this part of the hand is nice, it fits really nice into the little indentation for the spine. And then you can let the rest of the hand just relax there. And move that up, nice and slow. And you might feel some tissue that's a little bit unwinding or releasing a little bit more tension, and sometimes not, but it's very relaxing. So just keep riding that up until you get up here. And then just a little neck work, Open up the atlas and axis and pull there. There we have it. That's a full back relaxation, primarily a relaxation video to just relax the body, let some tension out of the muscles. It's not really a technique to be able to address injury. It's just a technique that's going to be able to relax the muscle out and let some tension out of the body. So with that, I want to say thank you so much for viewing. You know what to do. Comment and like and all that stuff. And please come see us again at the next video. I want to invite you to explore my course, The Foundations of Subtle Alignment. It is going to take you beyond the work of massage therapy. It will take you into the world of the subtle anatomy. In this course, you will learn about the subtle anatomy and a protocol for assessing and aligning the subtle structures. Misalignment of the subtle structures is often the root cause of chronic pain, injuries, and chronically high levels of stress hormones. These techniques offer profound benefit whether you are working on people with complex issues or not.